Okay, folks, here's what I got in mind I'm going to do today. I've had some problems. This is a Kubota BX1850, 18 horsepower, 50 series. And the 50 series, I'm not quite sure what year they were built. I think I will look that up and put it in the description. Or the BX series of tractors. It's subcompact from Kubota. They started this line and it's been hugely successful and copied by others. So anyhow, I done removed my front end loader, set it aside. And so what I'm going to do today, like I was getting to and I got sidetracked, is the 50 series was built using plastic. I don't know what it's called specifically, but it's some kind of plastic mold injected material, and it becomes brittle after time. And this is how the cowling that goes around the engine, I'm not sure if that's the right term, that's what I call it, a cowling. This piece that goes around here, it's held in place by two wing nuts, for lack of a better term. And it goes down in here, these wing nuts. It goes down in here and holds it on. There's some flat washers that go on there. Well, the problem I'm having is the plastic is breaking. It's become brittle. You can see here how it's cracked. And up here in the front, this has been here since I bought it. Now I bought this tractor used. I think I bought it in 2009, and it's been a very reliable tractor for me. I got a really good price on it. Heck, it came with 100 hours on it. Let's say it had 100 hours on it, I believe. Now it has, I don't know if you can see it, 768.9. So I think I've put about 650 hours on this tractor. So what I'm going to replace this cowling. I'm going to replace the back because it's brittle and it's cracking over here near the gas tank. And what happened, another thing with the 50 series, if you're going to buy a used Kubota, the 50 series has this problem, folks, and they're not cheap. These components are not cheap. And so mine seemed to last about 10 years. I think this tractor is about 10 years old. It's 2019, so it might be 11 or 12 years old. So if you're going to buy a BX, the new 80 series has metal, and I would highly recommend one that has metal fenders and metal cowlings around the engine. They dent, but you can unbend. Well, I'm back, folks, and like I said, I was going to remove some of the accessories and start to tear into it, and so I've got just about everything off and just about ready to lift this off, except for one thing. This knob right here, this knob, I don't know how to get it out. But I went on the internet, did a Google search, find out how to remove that. And you know, I was looking for something to hold it in there and everything. And so what they say on the internet, after I Googled it, there's a tractor forum that says all you got to do is pull on it, and it's a little tight. Some people said they hit it with a hammer. I think what I'm going to do someone suggested using a little bit of heat. So I got a heat gun. I'm going to heat it up. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this crescent wrench by Craftsman. It's not a crescent wrench, it's a Craftsman wrench. It looks like a crescent wrench. I'm going to put it on there like that, and I'm going to knock it with my hammer. So, well, I'm going to try knocking it with the hammer before I put heat on it, and then see what happens. I'll be back and let you know how it went. No bad news. I knocked it with my dead blow hammer and my crescent wrench on there, and I snapped it off. It goes. So I'm going to take this off, and I'll get back to you. So here we are back, and I got the rear fenders off. Taking out the, removing the HST. I found a tech bulletin online. I will link to it in the description on how to remove the HST. There is nothing in the shop manuals. The WSM workshop manual or something like that it stands for. WSM, the Kubota for the 1850. And what I found out, you do not want to remove the snap rings. I put the snap rings back on, and what I had to do was remove the engine. Yes, that's right. I had to remove the engine. So to remove the engine, first thing I would do, it doesn't say to do this, is to remove this support in the front that holds your hood and bonnet around the engine. So then what you got to do is locate right up here on the radiator. You want to remove the radiator, so when you pull the engine, you're going to pull the engine and the radiator as one. That way you don't have to drain the coolant. You're going to find a bolt up here near the top on the left-hand side being for reference from the seat, the operator seat, and a bolt on the right-hand side. Once you move them, there's 4 motor mounts. Well, and then what you want to do is you want to use the lift rings that are on the engine. There's one in the back here, and there's one in the front. And then you're wanting to use an engine lift. I don't have an engine lift, so I'm using a come along. And I'm hoping that 2x4 will hold this engine. So far, so good. Yeah, I know it's not safe. Oh well, sometimes you get desperate. I don't have an engine lift, and I'm not going to rent one tonight. So then what I found, back in here, basically underneath is this, the most difficult one. The most difficult motor mount is by the oil filter. And once you remove that, there are 2 wires connected to it for neutral, ground, negative, whatever you want to call it. And then I just started lifting. Actually, what I did is I didn't remove this front bracket because the tech bulletin didn't say to remove the bracket. And I just couldn't get the engine to slide forward far enough. Once you have that forward, you want to make sure you have the nut out on the coupler back here. And then there's, let me go and get underneath the tractor. There are 3 bolts. Well, anyhow, what I'll do, you'll have to get up in here and loosen 3 bolts that come off of the crankshaft of the engine that drives the HST. So once you have that engine slid forward, you're going to slide the shaft forward. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the HST. There's 2 bolts in there. I'm going to remove this off, and then I'm going to... So I have a new fan. I have the parts for a CV joint. I got the boots. I have the retainers. Everything that I need to build that, rebuild the CV joint and pack it with new grease. So I'll be back. Okay, so here's what I found inside. I ended up removing the snap ring, and here's what I found. I removed the snap ring on the front. I left the rear one on. What I found inside was a spring. So I found this spring. I found these 4 ball bearings, don't lose them. I found this, well, this is the collar that bolts onto the back of the crankshaft of the diesel engine. It's held on by 3 bolts. The snap ring goes in here. In addition to that, you have a squishy thing, boot, CV boot. And these are actually, the boots are in good shape, but I have new ones and I'm going to replace them. I don't know what they cost, but, and also in there, one second, let me put this down. Also in there is a flat washer and a snap ring. I'm going to remove this piece. It was very dry in there. No grease at all. So there's a ring here, a snap ring in here. I bought a replacement for that. You don't have to, but you know, I got Messick's right down the road, and I just figured I'd all get that. Another thing you need to get that you might not be aware of, and I learned this from Paul Short's video, is there's little O-rings that go inside these holes. That's where these holes are where the ball bearings live. And then the ball bearings right around in that. And that's what makes up the constant velocity joint on this tractor. So I'm going to go ahead and take that apart. I won't be putting it together until I get it back in the tractor, because, well, what I'll have to do is I can put this part on. It was a booger taking it out, even with the engine slid forward. If you can remove the engine completely, it would make it a lot better. I didn't want to go through the process of removing all the fuel lines and everything like that. So, but if you feel comfortable removing it and the electric, it's probably better. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these parts up, and it's getting late, and so I'm going to call it a night, and I'll be back on this tomorrow, and I'll let you know how I progress. So all right, folks, so anyhow, the other end, I just removed the 2 bolts to take the fan off. Once I had the fan off, I discovered that I couldn't take the shaft out through the front of the tractor. Even if I would have removed this end, which would have been easier, the engine was in the way and would not allow the front of the shaft to go past the oil pan and everything like that. So I am just going to do it this way, and yeah, hopefully I don't have a basket case for the Messick's text before this is over. So thank you for hanging with me, and I'll keep you posted on how this goes. Thank you.